Welcome to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. On this channel, we bring you some great content from inside and outside of the squared circle. We will go through and offer some in-depth analysis of the biggest events of the year, as well as bringing you exclusive interviews with some of the industry's biggest names. There will also be live show reviews, in-depth features, and podcasts. So make sure you give that subscribe button a slam so you don't miss any of the action.
Okay, welcome to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel, and right now we are here for the recap and review of AEW Revolution. And if you know myself and Tom, then you'll know it was very, very hard for me there to not say welcome to Talking Beans, because we usually do the Talking Beans podcast. But today, Tom is my special guest here on the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel, talking about AEW Revolution 2022. Usually I'm with Rob, he can't make it today, so we got the next best thing.
Yeah, you brought in the big guns.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll see. We'll see how this.
It's like the NWO taking over.
It does. It's a bit of an invasion, almost like ROH being, acquired by Tony Khan. There we go. We've brought it back to relevancy.
Very topical. I prefer Vince McMahon bringing in the NWO. But,
speaking of Vince McMahon, though, I did like how AEW. The announcement on AEW about ROH was as excited as Tony Khan was, which is quite funny in itself, but him just going, there's no shade. There's no shade. Right, but we're not here to talk about Dynamite. We are here to talk about AEW Revolution. We'll go through it match by match, and we'll just kind of just talk about our thoughts, really. Again, if you are new here, please subscribe. Check out more of our content on the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. We have interviews with your favorite superstars and wrestlers from around the world, and also recaps and reviews like this one, and also predictions for other companies as well. I'm sure you're aware it's not just AEW out there, but today it is all about AEW. But Tom, first, general thoughts on the show. What did you think? General thoughts, I guess.
General thoughts. Happy, pleased, as always.
Yep.
Not my favourite, but it was all good, I thought, mostly. That makes sense.
Yeah, I thought it was a really good show. I feel like it was a card that was huge, and I did worry that it might go a bit long, which it did.
I was glad.
Go on.
I was glad they did 3 matches on the pre-show. I think that helped. But
yeah,
that's
still a big pre-show, ain't it?
It is. But when I loaded it up this morning, when I saw the old 358, I thought, this is long, isn't it?
Is it 358? I thought it went longer. I actually did, because I watched half it live last night and the rest of it this morning. And I think it was just 3:30 in the morning or 3:15 that I was like, you know what? I'm a call it a night.
just under 4. You lasted longer than me. I fell asleep during the last match on the pre-show.
Oh, so did you try it then? Was you going to try and just see us?
No, I just couldn't sleep.
Oh, okay.
Then I thought,
that's why I thought I watched
some
of it. Okay, fair enough. No, generally though, like you, I think it was a very good show. Wasn't one of their best, and I think this is a danger for AEW now in a weird way. They've had so many amazing shows. At some point, there's going to be a bit of a dip. Not saying this was a dip by any means, because it was good. And I think, again, even their kind of format, we've touched on it before, of like having like just a few pay-per-views a year. Obviously, they got the special Dynamites that kind of feel like pay-per-views, but in some ways, I feel like that's a very good thing. But in some ways, I also feel like it damages some storylines, because you can't just simply go, oh, they'll get the win back next month or something like that. Yeah, they can kind of do it on Dynamite and Rampage and whatever else they've got going on. But yeah, like I felt like, I know we're jumping ahead and we'll get into it more later on, but I felt like surely Adam Paige can't lose on his first pay-per-view title defense. But then I thought, well, we did have that Bryan Danielson match, and that was kind of pay-per-view worthy. And you know what I mean? It kind of feels like you can't win a title and lose it on the next one, even though they are like 3 months apart.
Yeah, I thought the same. But I think AEW is quite good at that, because like you say, there are matches on their weekly shows that do feel like pay-per-view events. So yeah, even though I thought it's too soon, it's too soon for Hangman to lose it, surely. But then you think of like the quality defenses he's already had on weekly TV, and I think that's quite a good thing for AEW, that you can lose it or win it whenever.
Mm.
But I did think, we'll get into it, but I did think when if Red Dragon won the tag titles, then we're getting all three of them holding up titles at the end of the night. But when they lost,
I didn't even think that. Yeah, that's good. That's a good call actually. But clearly it wasn't actually. I don't know why I'm giving you praise. It wasn't a good call. It didn't happen.
no, they didn't copy NXT. So
that's for once. I'm joking. I love AEW. It's great, but we gotta be honest here. NXT was definitely the springboard for AEW that in ways they probably could never imagine. But hey, that's another topic for another day. But let's get on to what was on the show. But firstly, we'll touch on a bit of the pre-show. 3 very interesting matches. Although the highlight for me was, match-wise, is the fantastic end to the trios match, which was really exciting. But also Don Callis coming out to Kenny Omega's music. An interesting point because I feel like, people want to cheer Kenny again. You do get that a lot with the heels in AEW, to be fair, but it kind of sowed the seeds maybe for that. But weirdly enough, did you notice Kenny Omega's Tron coming up in the first match on the entrance?
I only saw it online because I turned on like a few minutes into that was when I realised, there's a pre-show on.
I was a bit background watching, and I was like, is Kenny like involved in this match? Because I know like he had something to do with like the women's division for a bit. I don't know if he still does. I was like, is he coming out? Is he like the Fit Finlay and he's literally going to be on camera as well? Like, it's Kenny to kind of clap the women down to the ring or something.
That would have been a nice surprise just on the pre-show to have Kenny Omega be Kris Statlander just for a throwaway.
Yeah, it would have been good to see. But yeah, obviously, big point in this really. First pay-per-view, I think it is without Kenny Omega. And I wouldn't say he wasn't missed because I always want to see Kenny Omega, but they got by. And that is a testament to them and their flipping stacked roster. So yeah,
stacked roster. You mentioned though the final match on the pre-show. You're going to have to tell me what happened at the end because I didn't see the ending.
Oh no, it was just really. I really, honestly, cannot remember. I just wrote it in my notes. Okay. Why are you out at me? No, Sorry. It was. I just remember being like, literally, my note was fantastic end to trio.
Good, and that's why they pay you the big bucks.
It was a long night, man. It was a long night, but I was very happy with it at the time. Right, let's get into the stuff that I probably will remember a bit more. We start out the show with Eddie Kingston versus Chris Jericho. I think probably a very good way to start. There's some very big matches here. I thought, what's going to headline? What's going to go in the middle? I think they paced it quite well for the most part. And starting out strong, as did Eddie Kingston himself, was the Eddie Kingston versus Jericho match. Now, the build to this, the whole, you can't win the big one, man. I'm not
Jericho's the big one, isn't
he? Yeah, I don't know, man. Nah. I kind of got it, but nah. But again, though, the chemistry, though, I can't deny, very, very good, both on the mic and in the ring. I saw someone saying on Twitter, like, he wrestled an Eddie Kingston style of match. He didn't kind of like, sometimes you get veterans where it's like, well, they're only going to have the same sort of matches. And Jericho didn't. Jericho did kind of change things up a bit. And it was a good match.
He's the painmaker, isn't
he? He's a million things, mate. I mean, he used to have a lot of nicknames back in the day. Oh, yeah, me neither. I mean, whatever. Anyway, I can't say I'm not still enjoying Jericho, but let's slow down on the nicknames. Again, we've loved him over the years, but you just think he had one every couple of years or every year or so, and some background ones and a few catchphrases, especially when he first came into WWF then. But how much did they slow him down? How much did they go? Not that one, Chris. So, I just wonder all the nicknames that got away if Chris Jericho, because clearly he had about 16 in the can ready to go each kind of reign. So, maybe too many nicknames for Jericho at the moment, but hey.
Something I did remember, though, seeing him in the opening match. I always remember that whenever I see Jericho in the opening match, I always think, of course you are, because in one of his books, he talks about if you're not the main event, you want to be the first match.
So you can get out of there. Get a shower. Get the showers first. Yeah. But I mean, what did you think of the match in general?
I thought it was a solid start. I thought it was the right result.
Yeah, me too, 100%. I was worried it wouldn't be, but
I think it made sense. And a different way of finishing it, I thought, with the 2 back fists and then that submission move.
Yeah, really. And Jericho, tapping out. It was a big statement, I think. A few sloppy things, but it happens a lot in matches anyway, where like Eddie Kingston had to clearly shuffle into place for the line salt. But who am I to just pick on little things like that? Like it happens. It is what it is. Happens, like I said, in nearly every single match anyway. Eddie Kingston getting to the ropes on the walls of Jericho, though, I thought was great. The fans were really into that because I was worried that at this stage, is Jericho just gonna win it? But then I thought, I think Jericho's kind of sowed the seeds here with the whole. As much as I'm not a big fan of that kind of verbiage of you can't win the big one, I think that was surely sowing the seeds so that Kingston could win a big one, quote unquote. But so him getting to the ropes, great kind of fan, kind of back and forth straight away. He had a near fall as well not long after that. The code breaker, which only got a 2, so another near fall there. But then in the end, Eddie Kingston comes out on top, and I think great because I don't know where Kingston goes next, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to enjoy it, So, does he ever go for the main title?
How did Jericho shake his hand in the end?
Nah, he didn't. That's a good point, actually. Jericho refused to shake his hand and walked away. So, Jericho going back to heel?
Because I thought, we're just destined to get an Eddie Jericho tag run now, aren't we? But maybe not if they didn't shake hands.
Yeah, I hope not, because Jericho will start changing the way he dresses and the way he'll have another nickname.
He'll start wearing a hat like Eddie.
Well, I did think in the promo, the last kind of go home promo, or it might be the one before it, before the go home show, where he was when he was saying the whole big one thing, I thought he'd play up to the New York thing. Suddenly it'd be from New York rather than Canada because of his dad playing for the New York Rangers and all this kind of stuff. And don't get me wrong, he can kind of claim New York there, I'm sure. But I thought he would suddenly maybe drop a little bit of the accent in there, or suddenly be like, you probably looked up to my dad as a kid, like something to do in New York. And so if they did become the team, I wouldn't be surprised if they were called like the New Yorkers, or the New York Wrecking Crew or something like that. Jericho suddenly has a Yankees cap on every time you see him.
Also, in the build-up to this, why has Jericho not nicknamed himself the Big One?
The Big One? Well, because it sounds like a turd. That's when you look down and go, that's gonna need a double flush that.
The Big One, Chris Jericho.
Yeah, when you say it like that, it kind of has different connotations as well.
Imagine they could name their tag team the Big Ones.
Yep. Okay, that's as worrying as my kind of fear of Jericho becoming a native New Yorker. But all right, well that's that. Let's go on.
I like both ideas.
Okay, well, I'm sure you do. Tweet it to him. I'm sure he'll love it. Right, let's. But actually, before we move on, everybody's talking about online. Let's quickly say props to Jericho, in fantastic shape. Things have definitely changed in the past few months. So
stepped up that Van Gogh, isn't it?
Congratulations, a true inspiration. Right, let's move into the next match. What are you laughing at?
That'll be his next one. The Inspiration, Chris Jericho.
So the inspiration is taken by a very nice tag team in the Impact.
True. That's true.
He'll just do one eye and just be like, don't worry about it.
It's different because I've got one eye, not two.
I don't want to get into it. Crapping on it with impressions. Still love you, Jericho. Still great. Very entertaining. Right. Let's move on. If you like this kind of jovial side of talking about wrestling, check out the Talking Beans podcast. Again, it feels very weird. This isn't the Talking Beans podcast, but if you like the connection between me and Tom, we've got more of that in the archives as well.
Talking Beans.
Come on, Tom, we can't take over. This is why we need Rob for at least a balance to be like, no, this is specifically an RM Pro Wrestling video. But anyway, yeah, let's move on to the next match, which was the three-way tag match with Red Dragon, the Young Bucks, who I'm surprised they actually got in this match from that kind of build-up they did last week. And, of course, the Lucha Express, the champions going into it. And Lucha Express? Jurassic Express. What am I talking about? Lucha Express. Jurassic Express going in there as champions and leaving as champions as well. Now, My first note on this match, Tom, was can't believe how fun this is. Like, and I think that is just it for AEW. Like, I was just sometimes I don't watch AEW that often, to be fair. I still don't watch the weekly shows that much. I'll more like kind of catch up with highlights and stuff. But every time I do, I go to watch a highlight of just like a match. And other companies I'll watch highlights for, I'll skip to the point. I'll get to the point of what this 5-minute video is about. And that's not so much a thing on the talent, because a lot of these do cross paths. And I always find that when I do that on AEW videos, I go to watch it and I go to skip to the end and I'm straight away pulled in and go, whoa, this is like a pay-per-view level match on a Dynamite and on a Rampage. And they really draw me in. And there's certain talents that do it more than others, of course. But yeah, that's kind of the theme a lot of the times for me with AEW. I just forget how fun it is. And then when like Jurassic Express's music hits and everyone's like singing along, it's just feel good. Specifically when that song hits, it always reminds me of like there's so many different flavors in AEW, and like every time that song hits, I'm like, oh, I forgot this is a thing, like that we all love. I think anyway. Surely everybody loves it, but
the commentators are very good though, aren't they? Like it doesn't sound fake or put on, like when they point out everyone's having a good time at an AEW show, and you always hear that. And watching it at home
looks fun.
Yeah, and just like on Rampage just gone, they had a triple threat match. It was such a good triple threat match with Andrade, Darby, and Sally. Hey, it was just fun. Just fun. That's all I want. Just have a fun time.
Who would have thought? Like, now I've gone on about this before though on previous reviews with Rob, saying that can it be a bit too much at times, especially the high spotty kind of stuff and whatever else. But maybe where I don't watch it all the time, it hasn't done that. It hasn't kind of worn out. Like it always does feel fresh and exciting, no matter what I'm watching. So, yeah, I mean, this match is kind of an example of that because it is 3 teams where you could kind of say, they're going to fall into kind of spot kind of stuff and whatever else. But, mate, I just really enjoyed it.
Yeah, and I think they're very good at AEW's gained trust, haven't they? Like they haven't let people down on big moments yet. I'm sure it will happen, but there's long-term storytelling, and there will be stories. And so if you don't watch all the stuff, you can still come in and get the story and enjoy it. But then for those who do watch the weeklies or even watch Being the Elite and see stories developing even further there, you get it at all different levels. But no matter what level you are, you get it.
Yeah, it's rewarding.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Could you imagine if you like Breaking Bad, for example? Like, a show that's so good at rewarding its audiences for picking up on things and paying attention. Like, could you imagine what that show would have been like if they just kind of just gave up on a lot of those things? That's what makes great TV. And although wrestling is different, it's still, from story, kind of point of view, it's supposed to be engaging and kind of, rewarding. And I think, AEW do a great job of that.
Yeah. Even when maybe your favorites don't win. So I think it will not go fully into it, but for the main event, I love Adam Cole. So I was hoping he wins, but I love Adam Paige, but I was hoping Cole would win. But when he doesn't, it's not like, oh, screw this company. You're like, I'm sure the reward, who's going to beat Adam Paige, I'm sure it'll be rewarding when it happens.
Yeah. And NXT did that very well. The old NXT, I should say. Because, like, with Adam Cole, I remember Adam Cole versus Johnny Gargano. I didn't know who I wanted to win until, and I was at that one in New York. And when Johnny Gargano won, I was like recording my reaction. And I said to the camera, now I know who wants to win. Because I didn't know. I would have been fine either way. And like Johnny wasn't really as over as he was before. Cole was becoming really over. And then I think fans kind of wanted Cole more. But then when Johnny Gargano won, they were okay with it. And I do think the parallels are weird with this match later on, because I think that kind of dynamic was happening once again. But yeah, going back to the match we're supposed to be talking about, though, the tag match. Very good. I didn't understand the 450 to break up a pin when you go into things being a bit over the top, not really making sense. Why would you do a 450 splash if the aim is to just break up the pin as quick as you can? and you've got to rotate before you hit the mat. Just splash. You don't need to do a flip. Like, it looked cool, don't get me wrong, but it's those kind of things that do bug me with psychology in AEW at times. But again, on a kind of acrobatic level, fantastic. Another one like that, though, was the shooting star press that Jungle Boy did while Luchasaurus had, I can't remember who it was, but in a submission. And that was fantastic. But yeah.
I got all the time in the world for something a bit extra. Just do it.
But it's too risky. I guess maybe you could say character.
That's why it's quite risky, mate.
Yeah, that's what that character's into. He'd rather show off as well as, do you know what I mean? You could kind of play it that. Like the whole, Jeff Hardy back in the day used to be like, there was even a great kind of story where Matt and Jeff were kind of drifting apart because Matt kept saying, stop jumping off the cage. Like, we just got to win the match, man. Why you got to do the crazy stuff all the time? Which is a kind of, I don't think was a big thing people look back on, but I specifically remember that around 2001, I think it was, where Matt was getting annoyed at Jeff. But yeah,
but he was. I mean, I know we're not going into that, but he was stupid. Like he could have just got out of the cage and won. He didn't need to go whisper in the wind off the top.
That was it, whisper in the wind, yeah. But anyway, similar things could be said for these characters, I guess, if you want to go at that. Speaking of some more character work, obviously you've got the heels of the Young Bucks, who I did feel like are maybe turning face lately, but they kind of healed it up again in this, and the heels went at it. Them and Red Dragon, the common bond of Adam Cole being their mates. But they kind of tried to stick together, but they went at it fairly early on, which was good though, because you wanted to see that dynamic between the three teams.
Yeah, intriguing where they'll go with it, because I think there's more story to be played out there with
between the Bucks and Red Dragon.
Yeah, and also I'm really glad that finally now with Red Dragon being called Red Dragon, I know they're called Red Dragon, because for years I was unsure whether it was Red Dragon. Or Red
Dragon. Yeah. Another interesting thing, I haven't seen it on TV, but the YouTube clip described them and Adam Cole as the Undisputed Originals the other day. Is that a thing that they're saying on TV?
I haven't heard them call themselves that. I could be wrong.
Yeah, the Undisputed Originals. So, but hey, I don't know if it's going to be something they're doing. It is. I'd just call them Undisputed. Like, that's all. Surely you can get away with that copyright-wise. So, call them Undisputed, and that'd be fine, in my opinion, if it is okay legally speaking. Right. Trying to think of some other big point. I'm looking at my notes here. Kyle O'Reilly using the belt to try and gain an advantage as well. Hit the high-low, but Luchasaurus breaks it up. We had a super kick tombstone, which was really cool as well. And what else did we have? Hurricane Rana, then a German suplex by Jungle Boy. That was fantastic. From the corner. Unbelievable. I'm just so impressed by Jungle Boy, man. Like, it's getting better and better.
I love a bit of Jungle Boy. Jungle Boy Jack Perry, as JR insists on calling him.
He does.
We'll get into some JR talk later on.
Oh yeah, I got a few notes as well. But hey, don't let me preface that by saying JR is the greatest to ever do it. But we'll get to something later on.
Larry, close mouth.
Did you notice though Nick looking like he was going to break up the pin? It could have been seen as a. Oh, was that meant to happen? But I think it was very well played. It was very well played, yeah. I think. So, but I love stuff like that, man. The little details, we love them.
Because just seeing them week after week now, you just do realise all the talk about how good the Bucks are. It's all true.
They're all right, aren't they? Yeah.
They know what they're doing.
Yeah. Right. The next up was the match to become Sonic the Hedgehog in climbing the ladder and taking down that big old brass ring. We got, well, first of all, this is where I really saw they focused on the stage with the floor being a screen, which I know they do in another company. Have they done it in AEW before? Because I noticed they zoomed in on the Orange Cassidy graphic on the floor.
I feel like they might have.
Yeah,
I can't remember.
I just noticed it more this time than maybe. But yeah, anyway.
See, I didn't notice it.
Oh, okay. Don't worry, they're not coming out with those weird 3D graphics in the air.
Yeah, I've noticed that.
As long as we don't get them. Right, so Orange Cassidy, my first kind of point on this. Now, obviously, he's a polarizing figure. I think it can be done well. I think it does have its place, but this is one of the matches where I felt it kind of got in the way, especially at the beginning, for him to do his little kicks. And all right, that's a bit, and it's kind of funny. I'm just talking about how much suspending of our kind of disbelief or whatever you call it. Can you really do when he climbs up the ladder really, really slowly? And again, I get that that's his character, but he wants to win. And other times, like, he does move like normal, doesn't he? You know, he kind of ramps it up and whatever else. And later on, he would climb the ladder a bit more normally and do something spectacular as well. But it just makes a bit not much sense at the beginning of the match when you're not tired. Like, we're so used to like the slow, stupid climb being at the end. And obviously that wasn't because he was tired. It was just because of his character. But for him to just slowly climb up, I just felt it kind of cheapened the match a little bit to me.
Yeah, there were points probably early on where I thought, but then they pulled it back, and I thought, oh, this is fun. Like when he was like, I get the kick, I get, the kicks are over, but when it's just him taking on the three hosses of the match, you think, oh, this is fun.
Yeah.
But then when he had to snake, when the ladder was being held up and he snake eyes up, that was very impressive.
Unbelievable, mate. Again, as much as I'm not putting him down, like, I just think it doesn't fit. Yeah. But how can you have the energy? Again, we probably shouldn't like try and look into this character too much. I think people have done it so much and it kind of gets you nowhere because it doesn't make sense. But like, yeah, it is like, how can you climb a ladder like that, but then have all this kind of effort to anyway, which was again so cool. Never seen anything like that from my kind of memory. Yeah. And then he slips and, right down the middle. Yeah. Fantastic spot.
And then to add to silliness, which I don't mind because I find him funny, we had Danhausen come out.
Yeah, exactly. That's another kind of like people do get hung up on. But again, it has his part. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Interesting kind of matchup here between Keith Lee and Hobbs. That was really cool. They played on that very early on. Another example, though, to be fair, of I think it was Lee trying to climb and he just jumps down and goes, all right, cool, let's go for it. Again, you can kind of say, character-wise, they're about the fight, but surely you're about the title as well. The title opportunity as well. So, although I like the moment, it kind of doesn't, make some sense. But touching on that a little in the opposite direction, members of Team Taz doing the handshake before they decide to race up the thing was a great way to
code of honor now, isn't it?
Well, my goodness, did they lean on that in this show as well? They've done that a lot lately. Suddenly,
I like that. But yeah, I like that. Team Taz is tight, isn't it? It's a tight unit.
Yeah.
But I thought everyone had moments to shine, but I definitely feel like this was Wardlow's. Like
we haven't even talked about him yet, but you're right.
No, but yeah, like he was the main guy.
Yeah, it felt like a bit of a crowner moment, like making him sort of thing. Weird order though, maybe you should have turned and then got the cheer. But I guess it showed it was a natural kind of like people do want to like we knew where it was going, right? But
yeah, he's been getting cheered an awful lot lately.
Yeah, it was strange not to have the massive pop of the turn, be babyface, and then win it. Like he won it as a heel, basically. But then later on would be officially a babyface. So a bit strange in that sense, but I'm not saying it didn't work. It's just not traditional the way you do it. But then again, neither was Adam Cole and Daniel Bryan coming out together within 5 minutes back in a few months back. Yeah. Daniel Bryan, I should say Bryan Danielson, of course.
And I because it's AEW, I question whether we've still actually got the full babyface, because I think there could be something where MJF, because he's got Wardlow under contract, will give it one last, berating, slapping him, and then we'll get the full-on beat down.
Yeah, I guess so, because he kind of, even though he made it obvious that he was like, oops, I found the ring.
It can be like, I didn't know where it was.
Exactly.
And he never actually gave it to Punk, did he? He just sort of left it there. So I think they could play off that. I mean, we're definitely getting
out a little bit more.
Yeah.
We're getting what, sorry?
We're definitely getting face Wardlow very soon.
Yeah. But yeah, going back to him in this match, I thought he was very impressive. And also, that jump up to the ladder and then run out, I think. Now, the powerbomb, though, was awful looking. Like,
Yeah,
I
that was
don't
nasty.
think he really even did much with his hands. I think it had already kind of lost him before he could even do that. Lands on the back of your head and all this kind of stuff. It was very uncomfortable looking. It was a shame because it ruined what otherwise would have been a very sweet and perfect looking spot. First half of it very good. Still looked good at the end as far as like looking brutal, but it looked like it was a bit of a mistake. So yeah, a bit of a shame.
And I just felt sorry for him because normally on the outside, if you do that and like both of you go through a ladder, you got that little lovely moment between wrestlers, isn't you, where they squeeze each other's hands to make sure they're all right. But you could just look at him and go, "Can't really check on you."
Yeah, exactly. I thought the same thing because he had to. Like, I was thinking, like, is this a moment where they in the back have to go, look, man, sorry, I had to keep climbing, and I thought the same thing because you saw the ref as well trying to check and like, can they still give a signal? Because at the end of the day, these are human beings not trying to hurt each other. So, yeah, interesting point. Going back a little bit into the match before the end, obviously, Hobbs. Another kind of risky thing was Hobbs's suplex off of the corner, well, the ladder laying in the corner. Again, a great spot, but his footing didn't seem great when the ladder looked like it started to move, and that was a very worrying spot. But hey, it worked in the end. But just again, another one where I was like, please don't die.
It was worrying, but I think when you've got Keith Lee holding a ladder as your base, you're all right.
Yeah,
that's a strong foundation.
Yeah, so I saw it live, then I saw the replay, and in the replay, I tried to catch. Oh wait, should I see if someone's holding it to make sure? And I thought, oh, maybe Keith Lee was underneath with it. But yes, I'm glad if that's the case.
Yeah.
But yeah, bit of a worrying one.
It was a bit of a worrying one. Two things I was hoping for. I was really hoping we'd get a chant of big meaty men. Didn't get it. And one thing I'm hoping for in the future, I hope Wardlow stops wearing a singlet.
I'm not.
The man's got too hot of a body. I'm all for straps coming down.
Let that body breathe. Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes it works. I don't know. I haven't really thought that much about it.
I've thought about it a lot.
If you like this kind of weird attire talk, again, check out our Talk of Beats podcast, where we usually deep dive into weird stuff like this on our wrestling episodes. Of course, we do film and TV as well, if you are not familiar. I will keep plugging that show because it is strange that we're doing this together. But hey, the ladder splitting, another cool spot as well. And then obviously, I think it was Hobbs that turned with the ladder, if I remember correctly. Well, like they split together and then one of them hits the other. I think it was Hobbs. But yeah, another cool spot. Obviously, Hobbs flying over when was really cool, but then it was a bit awkward with Keith Lee. Didn't seem to fall properly. There's another awkward bit where Orange Cassidy is yeeted out of the ring, lands a little bit further than he probably should. Bit of an uncomfortable landing, but generally speaking, all of the spots in this were really cool, and yeah, a very enjoyable match. And yeah, another example where the right person won.
Yeah, and I love Hobbs. They've got so many people where I think, I'd love you to. I just look forward to seeing where you go and what you can do.
Yeah, definitely. Speaking of which, we'll move on to our next point. Someone that's just signed for AEW, and that is, as clearly stated on the contract before it got announced by Tony Schiavone's hands doing this. Swerve is now in AEW officially, which is a lot of people were looking forward to that. I mean, one of those where you just look at him and go, star, and it like him coming out in the suit. Something about you, like there's something about you that I think is connecting with people already, and that's another one where looking forward to see where he can go.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Moving on. Okay, good. Moving on to the next match, though. We've got Jade Cargill coming out as Jade from Mortal Kombat, I guess you could say. Fantastic entrance. I posted about this last night on the RN Pro Wrestling Twitter. Go on, sorry.
No, I love, like, she got cheered or a reaction when the music hit and she had the guitar player, but then also when she come out in cosplay, if you want. And that just got more of a bigger cheer, and
So I thought this might be a good time actually to look through some of the tweets from last night. So basically, if you haven't seen the tweet, check us out, at RN Pro Wrestling. Basically, we put out fantastic entrance for Jade Cargill at AEW Revolution. Star presentation. A few comments here as well from Bandana Guy at Jason KNUTH. This entrance is awesome. Call Me Kingfish at Call Me Kingfish is a great guitarist who's worth your time. Fantastic work on the guitar as far as getting the levels right. You know, sometimes these live performances don't go well. And yeah, great skill, great entrance theme anyway. It was very classic 90s WCW for me. Like almost like Dean Malenko type entrance, you know, like
it is Dean Malenko.
Isn't it? Like, yeah.
But that's an interesting point you raised there, because there is something very fun side of WCW about AEW that makes me want to go back, because WCW gets cracked on a lot, and yes,
there was a lot of good stuff.
Yeah, and it just makes me want to go back to like really early and just see the good bits of WCW.
The comparison is fair. It is. I think AEW is the best of WCW to some degree, because obviously some WCW stuff they still could not reach those heights just yet. Don't get me wrong. But as far as like just fun stuff, meets the lineage of ROH, you know, so it is. It's a great combination to have.
Yeah, and I know obviously WWE crowds like Attitude Era were nuts, but I just in my head, I could be wrong, but in my head, I always just think I bet WCW fans had a lot of fun at shows.
Oh yeah, crazy. Some of the fan shots that it shows, you know, when it shows people ringside.
Yeah,
they're having a bit too much fun sometimes.
Yeah. So
but,
really good. We'll come a bit more onto that with Sting later, but that was my thinking.
A few more comments just from the Twitter at first at the _ CL Slinger, looking like a Mortal Kombat character, obviously in reference to Jade Cargill's attire. What did you think of her attire? Quite cool that her name is Jade, so that kind of helps.
It fit. Really cool. Really cool. I just got a lot of time for anyone who makes an effort on a pay-per-view with their gear.
Me too. Also, we've got Rolliver Queen saying, you can tell this isn't playback as he's actually playing his instrument. A lot of companies cut corners when it comes to live performances. Good to see AEW didn't, which, we kind of touched on already as well. Simply King at King310. Jade is $fire. I don't know if I've said the right amount of dollars of fires with those emojis there, but you kind of get the point. And that's the kind of point we were posting about in the first place, that she is an absolute undeniable star. I think every time we've done these AEW recaps so far on the channel when she's been involved with me and Rob, it's been a lot of it has been kind of being like how the women's division is slowly but surely getting there, and it's people like Jade Cargill who are spearheading this kind of next new direction, really. Yeah,
and it's just really interesting to see her growth and just growing as a performer. Like, she's got just natural elements about it, obviously, but growing and hearing about her training with Danielson and others.
And that streak, you know, that's a good little way to present someone as well. That's working. And again, the whole AEW does that really well, because a lot of times I thought, once some of these numbers start picking up, some of these streaks ain't going to look that good. But like for the main eventers, like when it says like 45 wins, 2 draws and 7 losses, it still is really good. Do you know what I mean?
And I thought that when Thunder Rosa come out, I think it was something like 51-7, and it's just those records just sound impressive.
And,
like,
and even
losses, but,
in this same match, Ty Conte as well, she didn't exactly have a bad record. Can't remember what it was, but because I remember thinking, well, you can't make everyone look good then, because someone's going to have to have lost. But they seem to rotate talent very, very well. I've just hit my mic there. Did it go funny? We're all good? They do seem to rotate the talent very well. I don't know if someone specifically has that job in mind of can't give them too many, be careful. But it's very good. Quickly before we cap off on the Jade Cargill love here, at DKG72, just my opinion, Jade Cargill will be one of the biggest, if not the biggest superstars that AEW has developed. She is that, in brackets, shut you mouth. She oozes the it factor, plus she's worked her ass off in the ring, the ultimate combination, kind of touching on what you was just saying there as well, really, that not only does she have the natural ability But she's taking things in and growing. She's not resting on her laurels. She is, very impressive.
Yeah. And the match was, I felt like it could have been a bit slower at times, but I think it adds to a rawness and a realness when someone's growing. And Ty Conti's come on, she's winning all awards for like most improved, and she's doing great.
Yeah.
Well, it was, some of it didn't feel refined, but in a way, I think that added to it.
And it was a short match. It was, we say it a lot on this channel, did what it needed to do, and that is basically it. Again, it was a match that did what it made, Ty look good, Tay Conti looked good, even even in defeat, Jade looked amazing, and they both, it was just one of those where it's like, oh, two wrestlers can have a good match with it being like overly complex.
Yeah, and I wonder if, again, you wonder where they're going, because although Jade's got the ego and stuff, but the fact it was a 2-on-1 and she was hit with a chair, wonder whether there's a face turn. If her streak's going to go on for a while, you can turn her and explore that side as well.
The streak, yeah.
But I just love her trash talk, so I keep her heel just for more of that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess what is more impactful, because you also want losing the streak to be a pop, I guess. So you kind of need to be a heel for that. So it probably is best to keep her as a heel until she loses the streak, which surely should have obviously lose the title as well, unless they do some sort of like weird way where the title comes off her, but she hasn't lost a match or something like that. But anyway, let's move into the next match. Another one that comes strong with entrances. First off, Cult of Personality hits, and MJF stole the entrance. Basically, everybody's excited and hyped up, and he comes out as the fantastic cocky heel that he is, and perfect. But then you think, what are they going to do? They're just going to play Cult Personality again? No, they're not, because CM Punk went back to what, 2004, 2000. He was, no, I am Ring of Honor CM Punk, just because of what's going on lately. Very well kind of timed to remind you of Ring of Honor, but also this storyline, I'm sure you'll agree, has had the parallels sewed in it very, very well, as far as kind of like similar kind of things they've said back in the day that Punk's old promos did, and Punk's old dog collar match as well, Raven, and like very, very good way to build this feud. Should we touch on a little bit of that first?
But you said, just the timing of everything. Apparently Punk's wanted to use that for a while, but the timing with Ring of Honor and, like you say, previous promos is really cool, seeing people put them together and matching them up online and things that I've said, and like MJF stolen and stuff. And just the storyline in general of CM Punk's inadvertently created this monster.
I mean, don't get me wrong, some of it is a stretch and stuff, but mate, that MJF promo where he cried and Punk came out, like everyone was played perfect. Punk coming out, and you can see in Punk's face like genuine, like, is this true?
Is that true?
Yeah. Oh, it was so good. Like, so many times I look at AEW and I'm just smiling, being like, this is so well done.
Have you seen someone? You probably have, but someone dug up MJF's old Facebook post where he had that picture of Daniel Bryan and CM Punk.
Oh no, I've seen it before though. I've seen it before. Yeah.
So just so good.
Yeah.
So good.
And then even like, again, we're not even on the match yet, but just to build, like when you knew there'd be a lot of blood when like one man's wearing a white suit, the other's wearing a white t-shirt. But when he takes off the top, and he's also got a white t-shirt, MJF, and he's got the image on it, and like just the imagery of like the blood across it, kind of reminds me of Brock Lesnar with Hulk Hogan's blood and stuff like that. And man, what a fantastic build. And again, it was leaning, if there was ever a time for him to throw it back to Ring of Honor days and old school Punk, this was it. And I think it fits. There is a kind of crossover in our audience, and for the ones that don't know that stuff, the commentators do a great job of explaining it. And this is something I hate to be the comparison guy, but I don't think WWE would have even touched this. Like, you don't not only do not talk about other companies. Yes, it's easier to say now in hindsight because AEW own Ring of Honor, but let's not pretend they haven't done this kind of stuff already, as far as like paying for people's songs and all this kind of stuff. Like, and I think it boils down to the fact that Tony Khan is a mark, and that's a great thing. Tony Khan knows what this means because it means a lot to him. You can tell that Tony Khan wanted CM Punk to someday come out to that theme song and probably wanted CM Punk to wear his old ring gear, you know, like just like I think a few months back when he come back and he was wearing the shorts and we did it on Talk of Beans and I was like, oh, the shorts are cool, but like kind of reminds me of the old Ring of Honor shorts. Like, and what do you know? He brings the old Ring of Honor shorts back as well. So,
You know, when he saw Punk backstage, he just shouted excitedly in his face.
yeah. I love excited Tony Khan.
I feel excited Tony Khan. He's just Tony Khan.
It's just, to be fair, yeah. But no, it was you could tell this is a fan who wants to please other fans as well as himself, I think, at times.
And I think we've mentioned it on our Talking Beans before, but just the just mentioning people's previous title wins in other companies, like it doesn't take away, like it adds to the legitimacy of people, and it just makes people seem a bigger deal than just like we're not dumb. Like there isn't just one wrestling company in the world. Like it's not as if we're suddenly going to go, oh, I'm going to stop watching.
Oh wait, hold on, let me just turn over.
yeah, it's stupid.
Yeah, I mean, and like you say, it does legitimize things. And they do enough dressing up the other way of going the most coveted prize in our sport, the AEW World Title, which, you know, let's be real, it's maybe not because it doesn't have that lineage and stuff like that. Not saying it can't get there because there were times where the WCW title felt more important than the WWF title. And there are certain reigns and things like it's going to take a while. Like the Universal title doesn't feel as good as the WWE title. It's only Roman Reigns' incredible reign that he's been on over the past year and whatever it is that's made that title feel like something. Like time and people and storylines add to this kind of lineage and importance kind of to a title. And that is coming. But don't get me wrong, I completely understand. Like TNA were doing it back in the day, saying the most important world title. You know what I mean? New Japan are doing the same thing. Ring of Honor have done the same thing. You know, so I understand why. But my point is like, they do enough dressing up the titles of their own anyway to be like, yeah, you've won elsewhere because you mean business. But now this is the real title. Come and get it. You know, like, and that's what they should be doing. It makes their title seem like more. It doesn't take away, like you say. And it's not making me go, hold on. Let me just go watch the other company instead because I'm, you know, I'm enjoying your show. So there's nothing to fear. I'm not turning over.
Yeah, I think on Talk of Titles, we're touching it more with our next match, but with the women's title. But I think AEW's got the best looking titles.
Okay, controversial. We will get to a bit of that in a bit. Okay. Anyway, so that's enough about building up the match and the entrances, which are both fantastic. Actually, before we move on, let's get to from the entrances. Obviously, we posted about this last night as well. Let me just get up our comments on CM Punk's entrance. So obviously we posted last night CM Punk with his old school Ring of Honor entrance and gear at AEW Revolution. It's things like this that remind you how important the recent acquisition is. There are so many ties between the current AEW era and a rich history of ROH. We've already kind of touched on this as well. But anyway, so some people that have kind of chimed in on that is at CAMACHO_XX. I guess that's Camacho _kiss kiss. They wrote, this is, now I'll have to watch my language, but effing cinema. And I make them right. The way it was shot as well. And then going to the fans that were really behind it. The only thing missing was the old steel Ring of Honor guardrails to get the fans slapping on. but yeah, perfectly shot. Darius _L0TT, Darius Lott there, saying this rules. And there's another one here. Which I think is in Spanish, but when I translated it last night, it basically said, yeah, good, basically AFI, good, or something along those lines. So thank you very much, PUCHO X86. 2 X's there, Tom. Maybe they're straight edge like you.
Maybe.
But it don't mean you're better than me. You still go around telling people that?
Yeah, to their faces.
But yeah, anyway, thank you for all the comments last night on the on our Twitter feed, but also please continue to bring them coming on this channel as well under the video. Let us know what you thought of the show in general. But yeah, enough about entrances. Let's talk about the match. Punk inevitably was cut open very early on.
When I saw the remnants of his cut on his forehead, I thought that's going to be opened.
That's the sweet spot.
My days.
Yeah. Should we touch on a bit of blood? Is there too much blood in AEW? I think there is. We used to say like it was. I missed blood back in the days when they stopped doing it, and then when we saw it in WWE, it meant something. AEW have kind of ramped up a little bit more. I do feel like it can be a bit much at times, but again, this is coming from someone that's been conditioned to think it's too much, which WWE perfectly did. We've talked about over the years on Talk of Beans about when they slowly brought some of it back every now and then for like special occasions, or Randy Orton not really paying attention, you know, like, to the rules, and with Brock Lesnar. But yeah, it's sometimes can feel like too much, and I do feel like it has its place. I think the dog collar match is probably the one to do it in, and the hype for the dog collar match was very well done, and mentioned it earlier on. You know, it's a great scene, but yeah, sometimes a bit much for me.
Yeah, I mean, I think we all knew this match was going to have blood, so that was to be expected. But it's just always not to be the safety adult in the room, but especially after in a pandemic, just when you see blood dripping on people nowadays, it's just like it's not healthy, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a time and a place. I think a match like this probably calls for it, and like we say, was expected. But then, there are other times when it's like, you don't need a crimson mask, do you?
You don't. You can just stay with your pretty face. Let's keep the scars away. So yeah, obviously Punk gets cut open. Go on.
I did see. I haven't read the article, but I did see a quote. Did you see it the other day with Danielson saying to Vince, apparently part of the reason he wanted to go to AEW was so he could bleed, and Vince was like, "I can't give you that."
Great impression. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of interesting things coming out of Danielson in the interviews lately. He's quite just casual with what he says, and it's quite interesting getting that insight to recent WWE stuff, even from someone that's not there at the moment. But yeah, MJF early on gets the mic. Great. Anytime I see MJF on the mic, I'm happy to see it. So that was cool.
He aggressively got the mic.
Yeah, very aggressively. And then Punk tries to break his hand so that he can't hold a mic anymore, I guess. And that was very well played, you know, like continuing this theme through the whole match, really, of like his hands being kind of damaged from earlier on as well. Talk about psychology, it's things like that that are fantastic. There was a brutal tombstone reversal on the apron where, you know, MJF goes to do the tombstone, Punk reverses it and does it, and MJF just splatters on the side. Sold it amazingly, delivered amazingly, petrified me that something was going to go wrong. Probably the best kind of thing you can do for a spot like that. It kind of had everything.
Yeah, and I don't often look forward to matches like this, like strap matches and things like this, just because I think it can limit. Yeah, and that's part of the thing, isn't it? It's meant to stop you moving around so much so you can hit each other. But yeah, for the most part, I think this was very good. So to be able to do things like things like the tombstone on the apron and stuff. That was a surprise. Weren't expecting it to happen in a dog collar match. So.
Yeah, true. Like you said, limited in it. I guess it adds to that risk factor that I was saying as well, because you could easily slip on the chain and things like that. So, yeah, in hindsight, it's probably a bad idea. But it worked. So well done.
Before they did that, I think that was the bit, wasn't it, where the chain was like tied up on the ropes, and MJF had to keep getting in and out, trying to work out how to get. And then Punk sort of guided him.
But the chain come undone as well, which I didn't see how it come undone, but the ref put it back on. So that was kind of interesting and didn't really make sense from a character point of view, because I feel like MJF would have been like, "I'm free." Like, you know, like if it was scripted, the character would have done that. So I kind of feel like the character maybe should have gone with that a little bit more as well on the fly. But it was very close to the whole calling out Wardlow thing as well. So it kind of, but you can't again damage that, because you're calling for an upper hand, but you're not willing to take one that is literally happened to you naturally. You know what I mean? You go, "I need help," while you let someone put limit me, help me, because I'm limited with this chain and I'm not as good as him. So Wardlow, you know, it doesn't make sense when you're letting the ref also kind of limit you. It doesn't, you know what I mean? So
fair. At least it was very near the ending.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of, but what can you do? Anyway, Wardlow comes out. We kind of touched on this already. Doesn't help out MJF, instead sort of helps CM Punk. And a fantastic ending. Middle finger up. MJF spits in the face. Another thing a bit awkward because of pandemic. Let's hope they get tested. Hit with the ring. And it knocks MJF out, I guess, and Punk gets the 3. Fantastic little shot, probably not intentional, but just quite poetic, really, where his current theme song comes back on. Look in my eyes as he looks down the camera with blood in his face. I thought, nice little shot that, wasn't it? So, all in all, like you say, a very good match. One that does feel like it could have had limitations, but they did very well within those limitations.
Yeah, and I thought MJF was going to win. I thought Punk was going to put him over again. But so I'm intrigued whether they have a decider or if they go into the Wardlow, MJF, and Punk. Well, because Punk did the old title thing at the end, didn't it? So.
Oh, I don't think I even noticed that.
I saw that on I missed it, but people were saying he did, and
Punk versus Adam Paige. I'm not up for that at the moment. Just, two baby faces can work, but.
I think because Punk's made a comment that he knows his time left is limited, so
he wants to get it quick. I think it would have worked better if Adam Cole had won, but
yeah, we'll see.
But again, it could be one of those that doesn't happen on pay-per-view. It happens on a special. I'm sure there's one coming up between now and next pay-per-view anyway, where he may be. Actually, next pay-per-view is in May, at the end of May, so it's not that long to go. To be fair,
there's and there's St. Patrick's Day.
There is, but that's probably a bit too soon though. But I could see a world where they do the face versus face. It's not too bad because it's on the Dynamite rather than pay-per-view, and it is another way to put Paige over, which I think Punk is all about these days, it seems. So just assuming anyway from what has been said in these promos and stuff like that when he come back. But yeah, really good match, really enjoyable. Loved all the throwback stuff with the old school Punk. And let's move on to the next match then. We've got Britt Baker versus Thunder Rosa. Now this is where my enjoyment probably dips, or my kind of thoughts dip a little bit.
I was tired.
Yeah, not only was I tired, it was a very hard match for them to follow. It was an awkward part to kind of place it in, and suddenly it didn't feel as big as I thought it originally was. I've been saying for months that surely Thunder Rosa is going to go after Britt Baker and win that title, and I think that is what should happen, and I still think that is what will happen. For me, this should have been the moment. And as soon as the match started, it just didn't feel, the fans are a little bit lost. It felt a little bit flat just because I think as naturally, the audience get tired and stuff like that. Again, they performed very, very well. It just didn't have the spark. So maybe you could argue it was then therefore it's the right decision. It wasn't going to be the Adam Paige pop. So if we're not going to get that in Thunder Rosa's story here, let's hold off and do it another time. Now, there's rumors that it might be, I think, San Antonio she's from. They've got a show there coming up. Rumors that she'll probably do it there. Strange that's not on the pay-per-view, but I can kind of get that. And again, maybe it has room to breathe in what's, it might stand out more on a card, because this was a packed card. Not saying this is like by any means not important or anything like that, because again, I've been saying for months, Thunder Rosa beating Britt Baker, that's where they need to go with this. Yeah. But as far as the match itself goes, pretty decent match. Obviously, Britt Baker's kind of sneaky tactics and stuff like that. And she comes out with a win. What do you think of this?
JR was very fed up with teaming, getting a Jamie Hayter and Rebel. He was very fed up with it. Towards the end of the match, I thought it picked up. I think people were starting to get back into it. I think it was that awkward thing of, because this is a long-running feud, but you've just followed a bloodbath of a really personal feud. And so if it's not a bloodbath, like it's hard to sort of get that emotion back in it. I thought Thunder Rosa was going to win, and I thought she should have, but then it might be the obvious thing. But as we've said many times, the obvious thing is often the good thing. So I think, when it's in San Antonio, and that's the anniversary of their Lights Out match, I believe. Yeah. So I wonder whether they'll do another one, maybe. Like, Thunder Rosa could say, like, you haven't beat me in that. And maybe that'll be where she wins the title in her hometown on the anniversary of that match, which sort of really pushed them both. If they don't do that, then I'll have more questions. But
exactly, yeah. Benefit of the doubt at the moment, because although, I do feel like they should have pulled the trigger here, it being on its own and having a big kind of moment and not being lost is a great idea. I got to give it to him. So hopefully that is where we're going with it. But I couldn't help but feel it was a little flat. But again, I think a lot of that is the timing and the pacing and the show. That you kind of just, when you have a stacked card, like something's got to kind of feel less important, and you don't want it to be your women's title match or the new, an amazing title reign coming to an end, feeling not that important. So it probably is a good idea to hold off if that's the reason for it. And it is sandwiched between two big matches, really, because it goes next Moxley and Bryan Danielson, which you could argue doesn't have the lineage. So maybe this should have gone after Punk. But at the same time, it was a brutal match where they bled. Again, it's another one where they bled. Had an amazing moment at the end. And also, as much as in AEW, there's not a lot of a lineage behind it. If you go for the big story, which I can't wait, by the way, for them to be able to use ROH footage and things like that for feuds like this. I know they did use some footage from previous encounters and stuff like that anyway here, but just for a lot of these things, like you can, like the Punk promo video with MJF, they could have shown those clips that everyone's done online of the comparisons and stuff like that. So I can't wait for them to do stuff like that. But anyway, back to this match. I feel like it was another one that started quite slowly. Moxley doing the kicks was the first kind of big note I had to Bryan Danielson, and then Bryan doing them back, and then the great moment where Mox kind of knows what's coming because they are kind of students with each other. And then he kind of does it differently. So it started out slow, but I do feel like it was a good match. I think for me, it's all about the end and what happened at the end, and I'm sure we'll get there. And they had this huge kind of double blow outside. Blood started, as we probably guessed it would. But again, I'm with you. Probably maybe the Punk one needed it more than this one. But yeah.
But then I guess thinking about it, didn't Moxley say in a promo that he needs to bleed with if he's going to team up? So there was that, wasn't it? So I guess
yeah. So I guess again makes sense in the storyline, but it is where it is. We've already mentioned about the blood a bit. One funny note, I think you've already mentioned it. We must have both had the same note, but clothesline or whatever you want to call it, JR, clothesline or lariat or whatever you want to call it. He said that before. It kind of reeks of kind of an elitist kind of view and an oldish kind of view. Do you know what I mean? I admire JR for like a lot of the things that he's done in AEW, but it does feel like there is still this kind of lack of a willingness to kind of let go of certain things and actually research a little bit more on certain things. Also there was the whole what's the difference between a powerbomb and a Liger bomb, and then he played it up as like I was just testing you young guys. I thought you're annoyed and you're saying that because I feel like if someone would have said a Batista bomb, that would have been okay. Like for like a power. What's the difference between Batista bomb and a power bomb? Well, Batista bomb sits down, and you could argue Batista lets go at a certain time, and and do you know what I mean? So I don't know, bit of an awkward.
I think Excalibur's such a good commentator though at just explaining moves and just talking you through the match. I really like Excalibur as a commentator.
Me too.
And I like the just sheer enthusiasm and joy that Tony Schiavone's obviously having. And then you've got the expertise and, the greatness of JR, but also his slightly grumpy grandpa at times.
Yeah, exactly. And I mentioned it earlier, like JR is to me the greatest to ever do it. So, you can't put him down too much, but there are a few things here and there where I just feel like I shouldn't have said that. But I feel like if I go back and watch some of the stuff from when I was a kid, there's probably things like that as well that I've just kind of rose-tinted glasses over it. But sometimes it just feel like it's missing that little bit more of respect for what he's calling. I don't want to say he's being disrespectful. I don't think he is. I think the fact he is calling a match for Adam Cole and Adam Paige is something that those guys would have dreamed of. Do you remember when they used to bring him back in WWE just to call for certain matches? And even Punk, we were like, yes, he's going to call a Punk match. It was like a rite of passage. You know what I mean? So don't get me wrong, I'm not saying he's disrespectful. I'm sure he's put a lot of work in, but there are still a few things in it. And I think other people are way too harsh as well with some of his comments. But at the same time, I'm not going to ignore that there are still a few awkward moments where you think, like later on as well with the title, did you notice when he was like, is that a new title on Adam Paige? No, it's not. Which made me think he must not do enough research or be briefed on certain things, because he genuinely said it as if, I think anyway, I assume he said it and he genuinely thought it, and that because in that world it's normal for him to not have been briefed or paid attention to that fact. So he just thought on the fly, I'm saying it, because we did get a title earlier on revealed, and yeah, we'll get to that in a minute because I forgot you want to talk about it. So we'll get to that after this match. But I felt like that was a kind of indicator that he doesn't either get briefed or pay attention, and that is normal.
But then also I do like that he asks questions, because there's a thing that's annoying me that comes up in the next match, that Sammy Guevara is wearing 2 titles. Now, I know they fought for 2 TNA, but you don't need to wear 2 titles. And a couple of weeks ago, JR just asked, why is he wearing 2 titles?
Someone else said it on this show as well, or said, I don't know why he's still wearing 2 titles. Or I think
dumb.
It is dumb, because at some point when he loses it, the next person's going to take one and add some, unless you're going to make a new design, which I don't think they will, because of, this kind of linked to TBS and the whole it got redesigned earlier on when it weren't ready, and the Brody Lee collection, I don't think they want to redesign it anyway. So yeah, it is a bit of a strange call, that. And look, there are some things that AEW can improve on. This isn't all about saying they're better than XYZ. We got to be real. There are some things that I would do differently. Right, but going back to this match, and we'll get to that title in a minute as well. But going back to this match, I like the way it ended, storyline wise. That because Brian Danielson has been doing a lot of this kind of, I'm not letting go and I'm flexing on his submissions, which I think has been so good. His heel work lately has been fantastic. And it just makes a lot of sense. And yeah, for him to not let go and that kind of, I think that's what they were going with. Like, he still wouldn't, you know what I mean? He was a bit too, and Moxley gets the win. Now, the shoulder wasn't quite on the map from the angle that it showed. They did a fantastic replay from above, which looked really cool, because it was like kind of like a UFC angle where they kind of show reversals and stuff like that from above the octagon anyway. So that angle worked very, very well. And I like it, because although it felt like a draw, it wasn't a draw. You know what I mean? It actually was a Moxley win. So I think they both come out of this looking pretty good.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I like, it was sort of like the brawler in the end out wrestled the wrestler.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and then because there's a risk of being like, oh, he got away with it, as if Moxley ain't like he's a lucky up and comer. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, there's a risk of that, but I think they did it quite well. Like you say, he looked more like a brawler who kind of like, Yeah,
and he has been very cocky lately, Danielson. So it was nice that sort of come back on him, and then it obviously led up to their dad coming out to separate them fighting.
Oh, mate, when Regal walked out, my jaw dropped, and it was another one of those moments where and it happens a lot of AEW, man. Like, I feel like I'm bigging them up too much, but it happens a lot. My jaw dropped, and then I just couldn't stop smiling and saying to myself, "This is great. This is so good. This is so good." Like we knew what was happening. There's more of a connection, an obvious connection with Bryan Danielson and Regal, but everyone that came through that kind of NXT era, and like early and FCW and stuff like that, praises Regal as well, and Dusty. Those names kind of get thrown around a lot. So you can kind of buy it, you can get it. And it was like the dad or the school teacher or the, whatever, like being like, shake hands, it was fantastic. Like, and the fact they did, okay, are they going to move into a team? Not something I particularly wanted to see at all in this whole feud. The fact that they kind of did it in the first place and flirted with it being a team was a bit like, I don't really want to see it. But hey, I didn't think I wanted to see the 2-man power trip, and boy, did I love that. So who knows?
True.
And Regal was the manager. I mean,
if we're the promo pic you've used for this with Regal's face is excellent.
Let's just bring it up on the screen quite quickly.
There he is. Disappointed dad. Apologize to your brother.
Because I didn't expect it.
if we do get a tag team and then a stable with like Daniel Garcia and Lee Moriarty, and then maybe some like training clips of Regal with all 4 of them, yeah, beautiful.
Mate,
And then
I'm coming around to the idea.
a woman or two, maybe Serena Deeb, someone like that, a violent technician.
Yeah. It's got possibility, man. Like
it's got legs.
It's got legs. But yeah, what a great moment, because again, I didn't expect it. And I know there will be people going, oh, of course you picked up another X stuff. Like, why would you not? Why would you not pick up William Regal? You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm all for it. You know, as Brits, we have to love Regal anyway. It's kind of in our contract when we wake up. When we're born, we have to sign this contract saying stuff about the Queen and William Regal. But yeah.
We just need a match for him to excitedly say now in AEW.
Yeah, well, didn't they do their own version of War Games?
Blood and Guts.
We'll see. But yeah, no, I'm very happy to see him come in. I'm sure he'll have a backstage role. I'm glad he's not going to be GM. It doesn't seem.
Yeah,
I hope he is going to be a manager and then have a secondary role backstage of being what he would have done really backstage at NXT as well. So it's just his on-screen roles a little different. So great.
And I think another thing AEW are really good at is using legends, as we'll get onto in the next match. But I'm not saying Regal's going to be used in that way, but you know, think of Jake the Snake and others. Tully Blanchard.
DDP.
Yeah.
All right, so before we move on, because I did say we were going to talk about titles and I completely skipped it. The new women's title. You a fan of it then?
Yeah, I've liked all the women's titles. I preferred the more recent, slightly bigger version of the first one. But
I really like the last one. I feel it's a shame they've got rid of it. I understand though it does look more similar to the men's world title, which kind of makes sense. But I like that it was that classic women's design that you'd see in territories and stuff, even in the old WWF as well. Like that kind of more of a oval kind of shape and more compact kind of plates and stuff, like a bit more like a boxing thing as well. So it felt very classic. I do like the new one though. So what can you what can you do when you like them both? It's okay.
Where you go?
Yeah, and you said earlier though, best titles.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I mean,
when your rival's got a blue belt,
I do like all of them. So there is that. I think the TNT I wasn't 100% sold on, but now that it matches up with the TBS and that's blue, I do like it.
Especially when Miro had the TNT and he changed it to the Bulgarian colours.
Yeah,
I like that.
I mean, the opposite side of things. I mean, I think we can surely all agree that TNA usually have the worst titles because they change the world title every 3 months. I think that terrible big gold rip off before as well, didn't they? Which I understand why they wanted to do that, but hey, it is what it is. Yeah, I think WWE's ones, I kind of get it. It's not as bad as like their main one. It's not as bad as a spinner, which I hate that people look back on fondly now. We are definitely of a different generation. We are definitely of a different generation. It's an awful title. But I mean, it fits Cena, but hey, we've ranted about that for enough years. And it was funny when Edge did it. Anyway, moving on. And RVD, whatever. Yeah, I just feel like I really like their tag titles, AEW as well. Yeah, I mean,
they've not got a bad title.
Currently, the current titles versus the current titles are the two big promotions in America. AEW's win most of the time. I will say that. So, yeah. Okay. Right. Sorry. Go on.
No, it's fine.
No, you were going to say something. Let it out.
I was just going. If they suddenly decide to give Roman the big gold, then we'll chat. But they won't. So
the big gold lost its thing for me though. It'd be cool to see it come back though. But it
I mean, anything's an improvement over the big W. So
yeah. Well, anyway, let's move into the next match. Darby Allin comes with another fantastically over the top entrance video before he comes out.
I'm Darby Allin. Welcome to Jackass.
Pretty much, yeah. But I like Sting's part in it as well. I really do like Sting. I do like Sting and Darby Allin together. It does feel like father and son. But I do really enjoy it. And I'm going to jump all the way to somewhere near the end of the match now. But Sting doing the splash. The smile on that man's face before he did it was a man who was about to go down a slide, who's just gone, you know what? I'm hanging out with my mates. And I don't do this anymore. I ain't done this in 20 years. I'm going down this slide. Like, we've all been there, you know, like we've all done it with, oh man, you forget how fun this is. Why did we stop doing it? That was Sting when he jumped off that side through the table.
But then,
fantastic.
When he woke up this morning, that was when he probably realised that's why I stopped doing that.
Yeah. We've all been there as well. Not that we're quite up there in Sting's age, don't get me wrong. But man, that was really fun.
So good. And yeah, that was the where I think, man, I just want to go back and watch Sting.
Happy Sting, excited Sting. I enjoyed his run in the other competition, the other promotion. Again, don't want to always compare, but this one is very different, and I really enjoy this one as well. So happy with the way they're using Sting. One of my notes was hardcore Sting because it just made me laugh seeing him hit people with the trash cans as well, which like threw me back to like WCW Backstage Assault like on the PS1. Just Sting just hitting me with trash cans. He's not a wrestler that looks like he's hardcore, and when he does hardcore stuff, it just seems out of place to me. But I always enjoy it. But yeah, is always
hardcore Sting. But him and Darby just do work well together and doing hardcore things together, like Sting putting the trash can and then Darby just shoot it out. Just cool.
I had a very fast start to the match. I really enjoyed it.
I appreciated the fastness of this and just the sheer chaos of it, because after a couple of we needed something different.
Yeah, 100%. It was, in that sense, it was time very well to put this here on the card. The city string on the guardrail outside by Private Party, really, really cool. JR mentioned Jeff Hardy, which told me Jeff Hardy's not coming back. So we'll see. He said the long lines of, and he was in a great tag team with his brother Jeff, you know, and I thought, it's not tonight then, is it? So
I bet he's still got a few days left, isn't he? I think from this Wednesday he's free. So keep your eyes open for Wednesday.
Well, I'm sure he'll be there and talk for his creatures. But yeah, we'll see. What Jeff are we gonna get? Who knows? Because there are really fun Jeffs, and there are Jeffs where they give a little bit too much creative control, in my opinion. Although saying that, Rob loves Willow, so if he shows up as Willow, Rob's gonna have a flipping great day. For me,
will Rob lose the lucha mask and go to a Willow face paint?
I hope so. We'll ask him. Rob, let us know if you're watching. But,
and also, when Jeff does come in, I cannot wait for the black and white home video between Jeff and Darby. That will happen at some point.
Oh yeah, something's gonna happen with him. It's gonna be so cool. Because I thought in this, if he did come out, he couldn't be a heel and join with Matt. He'd have to join with Darby Allin, and like I thought, why he couldn't not go with Matt? He'd have to be a heel. This would be weird. I was like, no, Darby Allin is the perfect, and he's got connections with Sting as well from the past. You know, some not so great, but some great. They can hype up of the whole I wanted to be Sting when I was a kid type stuff. You know, so in a face paint, like all three of them in their face paint. Could you imagine that as a team? Like, yeah, I'm looking for. I hope that is what they do when they bring him in.
And I want a filmed match where it's just Darby and Jeff, maybe against people or against each other, where they're just gradually jumping off of higher things. That's all I want.
Competing. As we are on Jeff Hardy conversation, check out the video that we've got on this channel of the media call. Obviously, since then, he's since announced, Tony Khan, that he has purchased Ring of Honor. But there's a lot of stuff he goes on to in that call that is definitely worth checking out if you haven't heard it so far. Not only do they mention trios and a streaming platform, the UK tour, and as you can see, the AEW game, he also talks about Cesaro and the chances of him and Jeff Hardy coming in as well on that conference call. So it's definitely worth listening to if you haven't already. And we've got a lot more content on this channel, not just AEW. Obviously, we cover all sides of professional wrestling, and we've got some fantastic interviews with WWE superstars on this channel as well. For example, a really fun one that Dan did with Riddle. We spoke to Big E when he was the champion. Also Ciampa when he was champion as well. As a common theme here, they all seem to be losing titles because Damian Priest is one we spoke to as well. Fantastic little chat there as well. Kevin Owens had a lovely chat with Dan. Bobby Lashley on this channel as well. And I got to have a nice conversation with Dewdrop. And if you're not just into interviews and you're into some other strange wrestling content, then check me out trying to be Seth Rollins and trying on these suits, because that's a fun one as well. So yeah, check out more of our stuff here on the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. If you want to see more me and Tom, then check out the Talking Beans podcast as well on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and SoundCloud. And of course, you can find all of our stuff, Rebellious Noise content, at revnoise.com and on our other Rebellious Noise channels, because we cover things like food and drink, we cover football, we cover wrestling, we cover a whole host of things here at Rebellious Noise. But you are specifically here on the Pro Wrestling channel, so please give us a little subscribe and a like on the video. Right, Tom, should we move on to the next match? Is there anything else you want to say on this match actually before we move on?
Yeah, because I think we'd be remiss not to mention the Spanish Fly.
Oh yeah, another thing that again doesn't make sense. Story like Spanish Fly it's a great. I've always loved it. I loved it when Birchall was doing it, but it's a very suspended disbelief kind of thing. Same as Canadian Destroyer, Panama Sunrise. Like. But if you're gonna do it, you're gonna make it look cool. Well, why not? Doing it off of the structure through the stage. Wow.
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah, that was something. That was. I'm not a massive Sammy Guevara fan, but that was impressive.
Not? Okay, I think he's been fantastic lately, though. In that match that you mentioned earlier, the triple threat match, fantastic.
He's a great wrestler, but he just I need more than just sticking out your tongue. He just annoys me.
Yeah, there was something. What was it I was thinking the other day that I didn't? Something about him that kind of bugged me as well. It might have been a catchphrase or something he says or does. I'm like,
I don't like the cards with the right. I don't like that. I don't like the tongue, and I don't like the promo on the placards. No,
just wrestle. Don't annoy Tom. All right, cool.
Just wrestle and keep your tongue in your mouth. That's what I want.
That's all you can ask of a person. At the end, we do get the move through the chair. I think by Darby Allin on Matt. A little
just
bit
the
sloppy.
Old, Scorpion Death Drop.
That was it. That's because I've written it down as sloppy death.
Sloppy Death Drop.
But drop got typoed, auto-corrected to steep, which is, I don't know what I was trying to say there. But yeah, the sloppy death drop, which is Darby Allin's version, at least to Matt Hardy, wasn't a bit sloppy, but cool as well. Visual going for the chair. And then the coffin drop for the win. Darby, again, another one of those surely push to the moon, future stars type guys for AEW. But yeah.
Agreed.
Okay, well, with that being said, let's move into the final match on the card. We've got Adam versus Adam, Paige versus Cole for the AEW Championship. Now, with this match, first of all, Adam Cole comes out in like a Halo kind of gear, right? I don't really play Halo. They mentioned it on commentary, and it did look like Halo to me, so I'm assuming that is correct. Cool.
Yeah, again, always got time for someone dressing up. And yeah, because I didn't know what it was, but I know he's a big Halo fan, so I presume.
It fits. JR, like we mentioned, called it a brand new title belt. Again, going on that briefly, he kind of covered by saying, well, it looks new to me, like, is it shinier? Type stuff. Like, I don't know.
Adam Paige is just looking after it well. That's all.
Yeah, exactly. Let's go, Adam, is the chance we get early on. And it mostly does start outside the ring. Now, the first big moment for me in this is the moonsault into the super kick, which is time to perfection.
He's very good at an upside down super kick. Is that Adam Cole?
He is. Times it very, very well. Now, another super kick he goes for, he tunes up the band, Tom.
He does tune up the band.
Tunes up the band. Now, there was a few months ago, there was a kind of like, is there a hint of a Shawn Michaels? I don't think it's happening in AEW if it ever happens anywhere. Although you never know these days in wrestling. But yeah, that was quite interesting. There's a dead eye kind of early on from Adam Paige. I'm mixing up my Adams there. Hits the 2 count. And there's also like this moonsault fall away slam, but not fall away slam because he stays with him. So I don't even know how you describe the move he did off the top rope where he's. Yeah, what would it be if you don't let him go? If you land on him. But he doesn't let him go. He lands on him.
One more time. He lands on him.
It's a moonsault fall with slam. Maybe it's just a moonsault slam.
Catchy though, is it?
Yeah. Now, Red Dragon obviously get involved. The Dark Order get involved as well. There's a Panama Sunrise on the floor, which is scary. Another one of those moves where I'm like, please don't die. And he does another one in the ring, hits the boom, and only a 2 count. Now, both of these Panama Sunrises look more scary, I think, because it doesn't seem to completely rotate. I think it's maybe because of the size of Adam Paige. Don't get me wrong, it still looks good, looks brutal. And sometimes when moves don't hit connect properly, like we've said it over the years on Talk Beans, it looks better because it's not hitting that sweet spot. It looks more risky, dangerous, even if it's not. Probably a safer one because he was slid kind of on Adam Cole's kind of area rather than the mat. So yeah, but both of them, he didn't quite spike upwards, Adam Paige. But hey, is that really a bad thing? I don't
know. But his first, I think it was the first buckshot lariat he hit.
When he turned him inside out, as they would say. And that's when he gets the fingers on the rope.
Yeah,
and I remember
fingers on
I
the rope.
looked at it and I was like, oh, he's close. He's going to get the rope. Like, cool. So I knew it was coming. It's fine. But then I thought, is he close enough? Like sometimes the angles, and you're like, well, I knew they were setting up for that spot. But what if he doesn't get there? And then he does. And there's quite a bit of space on his fingers, to be fair. So that was really well done. We had a buckshot reversal, which went into a super kick and then a bit of a super kick combo between the two of them. A huge dead eye through the table. Obviously, I mentioned already, but Dark Order end up coming out at this point as well. Does Paige push one of the Dark Order into the others, and then that's when the brawl starts?
He does, yeah. I don't know what we were meant to take from that, because there was a bit of Healy Paige towards the end. Like, people were booing him, but I get we were Florida. But I don't know whether he was just sort of frustrated trying to get him away. Yeah, I don't.
Well, going into that, he wraps the belt up. It's very heel, and that is not honorable Adam Paige. It's angry Adam Paige who's annoyed at what's going on and stuff like that. But
it is angry Adam Paige. But then at the end we got Code of Honor Adam Paige. So
we did, like, with a limp hand. I'm just gonna say
a very limp Code of Honor, but we got it.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I'm not sure how much say Adam Cole added it, but
well, yeah. It wasn't really with it, was he? Well, the character were, and I'm sure the man had a part to play in that idea. But yeah, it's interesting to think, what will they do with Ring of Honor? Will it become another show? Because everybody looks back in hindsight, WCW should have stayed as WCW and run 2 kind of shows, which they ended up doing as Raw and SmackDown. But yeah, I don't know. I really don't know what they're going to do. They've got enough from B, C, and D shows as it is, with Dark Evolution and even being the Elite.
From what I've seen, Tony's sort of, without saying it, that it'll be a developmental but stay Ring of Honor. So I guess you'll have people going back and forth, but we'll see. Interesting.
Yeah, if it can be their NXT, where it's a different feel, a different vibe. But when AEW is kind of like what NXT was, it's kind of strange that what would be that different feel and different vibe. I guess they really amp up the old school stuff of the Code of Honor and stuff like that, which they've mentioned a lot lately anyway. But yeah, it would be cool to do it's almost like maybe like one night stand type feels, like old school ROH night, where they use even the old logos. Bring back the old guardrails, CM Punk faces Bryan Danielson or something like that. Who knows? It'd be cool to, there's so much they can do with this. I think some people at least want to try and downplay this, like, oh, it's not exactly buying WCW, is it? But no, this is a lot. There's a lot they can do.
It fits with AEW, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
And like all for building stars, obviously, but since he's a current wrestler, how cool would it be to have like at least one Daniel Bryan Ring of Honor world title reign where he just takes on all comers?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's another thing that has a lot of potential, and I'm looking forward to seeing where it goes. Yeah, as long as it doesn't get squashed too much, it's hard to you can't put it on the same level as AEW. It would make no sense.
No.
But, so there's a few risk factors in there, but let's see what they do. Hopefully it's like NXT rather than WWE ECW. But yeah, we'll see. Right. Also, well, quickly before we move on, NXT 2.0, as much as it's not the NXT that I would like to see, and that NXT is dead, I do enjoy things about 2.0, and it is different. So there are different versions of wrestling that you can do within the same company. WWE could have done both of those, could have kept the black and gold and done this NXT 2.0, called it something else. They could have done that. They didn't. So maybe that's room for ROH to do, to be that for WWE, for AEW. Too many companies, Tom. I'm getting lost.
There it is.
Right. Finishing up with this match, though, we'll be getting out of here soon. But thank you for those that have watched on demand and that are watching live with us as we record this as well. But please check out more of our content and give us a little comment down below and a like and a subscribe. That'd be fantastic. Yes, who should have won? Was it the right decision?
As much as I want a Cole win, I don't know. I'm intrigued either way, and I think there's got to be stuff, isn't there, with surely the Bucks not coming out, but Red Dragon did. Cole's not going to be happy with that. Eventually, surely we've got to get Kenny and the Bucks versus the Elite, but then you've got the Jay White situation, and it's intriguing, my friend.
I was thinking the same. The whole Bullet Club type stuff with Jay White. What I'd like to see? I think they should do is Kenny and the Bucks versus the Undisputed Era. And then after that, or maybe before that, you do the Bullet Club stuff, in some sort of,
and it's probably good. None of that needs the world title because you've got enough of a roster, so Adam Paige can go off and be, because Adam Paige is quality.
And they've definitely moved away from the Bullet Club stuff, and they did it first with the Elite, and now they've kind of slowly dropping that as well. It seems, well, it's not as prevalent and in your face at least, but. Yeah, I think it's time to bring it. You can now do the Bullet Club thing with the name, hopefully, and trademarks and stuff like that as a genuine nostalgia thing, because the Bullet Club was a long time ago. So it wouldn't be bad. So I'd love to see where they go with that. I mean, look at this. Look what we're talking about. Possible Bullet Club stuff, Elite, Undisputed Era, and Ring of Honor. I mean, what a time to be not only a wrestling fan, but an AEW fan in specifically is it's really exciting. But I felt in that match, it felt like it should have been Adam Cole, but I couldn't, and I mentioned it earlier, I couldn't help but think it's too short of a reign for Paige to have lost it on the next pay-per-view, even if it does take him 3-4 months to have a new pay-per-view. It would have been, especially after the build and how long it took for him to get in, how important it was. Just like simply in the last pay-per-view, it was the biggest moment. It was so amazing. It was like, yes, he's finally done it. To kind of take it off him, which it would still, you couldn't help but feel like it was straight away, even though he's had it a good few months and had a few good title defenses. It would have been a bit weird, but at the same time, I did feel like Cole kind of got. But there's a lot of life in it. Hopefully, barring injuries and things like that, and anything crazy happening, there's a lot of life in Adam Cole's career still, where he doesn't have to win the world title just yet. There's plenty of time for him to be AEW champion. So
I think it's obviously he will be at some point. But see where it goes.
Brilliant. Okay, right. With that being said, Tom, thank you very much for joining me today. It's been a pleasure having you on the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. Strange again, not being a talk of beans. It felt like one, but it wasn't one. And hopefully, it'd be great to have you back as well. And hopefully with Rob next time on the AEW review as well. It'd be nice to do some of that. Right. So anyway, thank you.
Willow cosplay.
In full, yes, he better. He flipping, but especially if he shows up as Willow. No, regardless, I want to see him.
Refers to me and you as his creatures.
Love it. Right. Okay. With that being said, again, Tom, thank you very much for being here on the show. Thank you for those that watched live and on demand. Please, again, leave comments and subscribe, like the video. All this kind of stuff from every kind of YouTube channel, but it really does help if you do those things. So we'd appreciate it if you did. And again, we got plenty more content on the channel, and of course, more coming up. Now, we haven't talked too much about them because it isn't their video, but WWE got some things going on as well. So the road to WrestleMania is going to be a very interesting one, I'm sure. So stick here for all WrestleMania content as well as more AEW content as well. And with that being said, we'll see you next time.
Welcome to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. On this channel, we bring you some great content from inside and outside of the squared circle. We will go through and offer some in-depth analysis of the biggest events of the year. as well as bringing you exclusive interviews with some of the industry's biggest names. There will also be live show reviews, in-depth features, and podcasts. So make sure you give that subscribe button a slam so you don't miss any of the action.